Okay, let's bring in Collins Nweke, who's in Brussels. He's an Africa Affairs commentator. Welcome to you, Collins. I've seen several accusations of what is going on here in DRC. Some say that the M23 rebels are actually, despite the historical ethnic tensions and violence, some say that they're there to try and get hold of mineral resources. Why do you think they're there?
Well, that's essentially at the heart of this crisis, Neil. It's mineral, it's natural resources. Now, the allegation of, the president of Rwanda being behind M23 is something that has been made, but also, refuted. On the other side, he too, Rwandan president, has accused the Congolese government of actually supporting a group that is trying to, destabilize his country. So you see, the blame game just keeps going on. And so far, the outcome is that more than 3,000 human souls have fallen, and the situation simply keeps escalating. So yes, minerals is at the heart of this conflict.
So it sounds like there's a good chance you also think that it's about money at the end of the day. How much of a role, though, does that historical conflict between the Tutsis and the Hutus play in the violence that we're seeing now?
Yeah, that's another aspect of it that is pretty consequential, because as a matter of fact, the Congolese group, has been accused of actually trying to protect the interests of the Tutsi ethnic group. So yes, this is something that is ingrained in the ethnic tensions that has continued to fester in that part of the region. And that is where the fear is actually very much rife, that if this is not stopped now, well, it is definitely going to affect more of the countries in that eastern bloc of Africa.
What always seems so unnecessary in these, when we hear about these conflicts, is the loss of civilian life. You can't imagine the civilians are deliberately getting caught up in any of the fighting. Why are we hearing again of thousands of people dying?
Well, that's the catastrophe there, and I believe that the human toll is enormous, and until there is a political solution, because this is all about politics, resource acquisition, and so on and so forth. As long as the different partners are not brought together through regional cooperation, through international intervention, so that humanitarian relief will begin to flow into that country, and the hospitals are, overwhelmed, and so every day, humans continue to fall. So, a multifaceted, approach is required. First and foremost, to cease fire, and then begin to, dialogue towards a political settlement to this crisis.
Accusations of war crimes there. Reports of disease, obviously violence, food insecurity. When I read about what's happening in DRC, I thought I was talking about Sudan for a moment. There's such a big problem in so many countries in Africa. Why is the international community not intervening in the same way that it has, for example, in Ukraine?
Well, that's the question, Neil, because in some quarters it is actually said that the international community is fueling some of these crises, not only because of their own, interest in terms of the natural resources that, is at the heart of this conflict, but also continuing to sell arms to some of these, groups. And so they will not, as a Turkey, vote for Christmas because it's going to, affect them. So essentially, they are fueling this because it is in their own national interest that, this crisis continue to fester. The UN remains the neutral body that can, come in as, as an umpire to actually, nip this on the bud.
Yeah, sounds like another case of follow the money and follow the weapons. Greatly appreciate your forthright comments. Collins Nweke is my guest, Africa Affairs commentator.
Thank you. Thank you, Neil, for having me.